Don't you dare say I'm gonna make it, 'cause I don't believe it.
Welcome to TWLC Reviews. I'm Quan.
What's up? You got rain here?
Let's get right into it. Just when I thought this man Tyrion couldn't get any more gangster, he proved me wrong. Not only did this man escape imminent death in a kingdom of motherfuckers who wanted his head, he smoked his pops and Shay on the way out. The fact that everybody made him the fall guy because he was the only one with the guts to actually tell Joffrey how he really was complete bullshit to me. But I'm honestly glad that he escaped with the help of Jaime and Varys, but I'll get back to him in a minute. And he's actually on his way to Bravo.
It was definitely like tough for him. It wasn't just like a moment where he just came. Yeah, I'm just smoked this man. Like it was a really like tough realization. Like it was super emotional for him because I mean he didn't want to kill his dad. I mean his dad hates him, but like who wants to kill their father? You know. The guy that took literally everything from him, belittled him since he was old enough to understand anything, uh, just from stuff that he couldn't control. I'm pretty sure he doesn't regret it. Pretty sure he doesn't regret it. And but Jamie definitely does regret it. And he's the next character that we're going to talk about because he's the one who freed him, and he definitely disagrees with his father a lot, but he has a lot of compassion with Tyrion, and that allowed him, or that gave him the reason for, they led Tyrion escape. But he definitely didn't think that he would kill his own father because he knows Tyrion just like how we know Tyrion. Like he's not that type of person.
And to go into Jaime a little bit more, honestly, I know what I said before, but he's really starting to come around now because he's literally the only person to actually show Tyrion a bit of decency. Because even when he confronted Tywin and saying that he knew what he was doing, when he set that trial up saying that you're doing this just so you can murder my brother, I gotta give him props for that, man, because he actually had the compassion. Cersei didn't give a damn. Tywin obviously didn't give a damn, but he did. One thing I actually definitely wanted to bring up, when it came to Joffrey's death, and they was all laying, in that tomb with Cersei, it almost seemed like he was concerned, but he didn't really care too much about Joffrey's death.
It's a lot weirder than that. It's not even just like him not caring about Joffrey. You're doing that in the very room of a dead person, and not only like this is someone, like this is your child, and it's a fresh death. Like he literally just died. It was not consensual. Also, he basically forced himself onto Cersei next to his child. Even more weird, my guy. Even more weird. Him and Cersei aren't as close anymore, and I'm guessing that's like driving him crazy. But it was super weird for me, and it just didn't make too much sense because I don't know, Jaime. When I first saw this, it was like, Jaime, you literally lost him. He expected Tyrion to just escape. That's it. But he knew what he thought was he knew he would get Tywin would, give him an earful and Cersei would give him an earful because they knew the only way that he would have escaped it was because of Jaime. Like they knew, and he was willing to take that risk for Tyrion, just off the family bond, just like that.
But to Cersei, I know some people will probably feel bad for her as a mother because she basically lost 2 children, but I don't. Because if she wasn't so damn vindictive and acted the way she did, a lot of this shit probably wouldn't have happened. And her baby boy is ruling the throne, and Marjorie's about to manipulate him too.
Amin is he's a lot more compassionate. Another like scene that I want to mention that I don't know if a lot of people caught this, but it's a scene that happened when Tommen went to go see his brother, and Tywin came over and talked to him. Tommen is a compassionate, really soft dude. He's not going to be a cruel ruler. He can see that. But he gave him a little brief talk because he sees Tommen as like, okay, you're better off than Joffrey. But he sees Tommen as a better candidate, and I think that's proof of him, of that. When he went to go talk to Tommen, gave him a little advice because he has the compassion, but he tells him that's not enough to rule. It's definitely not enough. We even know that. where we were back to Cersei. I can't imagine like what it feels like to have your child die before you do. You know, like you give birth to a child and you have to like witness them passing. You know, it's definitely it has to be one of the worst things like ever. I do feel a little bit bad for Cersei. I did, even though she is a cruel and does a lot of things that, you know, I'm not so happy with. And that rage, like she had a lot of sadness and a lot of rage, and that caused her to blame Tyrion. You can't say that she doesn't love her children. You just can't. The one thing you can't take away from her, she loves her children.
My boy Jon Snow. When the wildlings came to raid the Castle Black, that man fought his heart out. Even when he saw old girl he used to mess with, and she died right in front of him, he still did what needed to be done for her. Even with everybody else around him saying that, oh, how can we trust you? You were with them. Old dude died because of you. He still fought and gave everything to prove that I'm still a brother of the Night's Watch, and this is where I want to be. Jon is actually a true leader and someone of great value to me.
Jon, like you said, Jon was the like sole savior of Castle Black. You know, honestly, you can't say it was a total victory, but they were outnumbered immensely. And of course, there were a lot of people that gave their lives, but as you can see, Jon is a natural leader. There's a difference between a leader and a natural leader. And he showed that he was the most competent leader in the heat of battle. But when they got into the actual fort and Ygritte, and you can see he kind of froze up, you know, that was his one weakness. And I don't know why he's so fond of this woman, but if you ever want to get to Jon Snow, you just need to have a woman involved, apparently, because that's just his weakness. He still finished what he had to do. He didn't freeze up too much. And like you said, Jon is a natural leader. He stepped up. He's a big dog.
My boy Bran. Now I'll admit, he really didn't impress me too much in the previous seasons, but what he did this season actually made me have some respect for him, because not only when he actually got kidnapped by them and he saw Jon and them raid that village, he had a choice. He could have been like, all right, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm just going to go with my brother back to Castle Black. But nah, he said he can wait. I need to go see my journey through. So for that, I got to give him props.
The Bran situation is it's a very mysterious one because it's the most unique one in the whole show, honestly, because he's has some type of magical powers, and at this point, at this point in the show, it's not fully explained, so it's not very understood by the viewers. Nobody knows what's going on. We just know he has some magical shit going on with him, and he knew, like you said, he's still a kid, and it is a very tough decision to make. For you to just not go to the safety of your brother and into this journey, you know, alone. He realizes that he has a greater calling. He wants to figure out what is the root of these visions that he keeps having. Why does he have these powers? Like what's going on with them? And that's what he wants to figure out. And he knows he has a greater calling. So he didn't stop his journey there because he knew Jon wouldn't let him continue on his journey. So he made the more mature decision and said, you know, I'll see you later, Jon. Yeah, he caught some bodies too. He got a couple teardrops now. It's gonna be really interesting to see how they unwrap the rest of his story. And
I know I haven't really talked about Sansa that much, but I wanted to get to that now. I honestly feel a lot more bad for her for real, man, because she has been in mishap after mishap. Not only did she have to flee King's Landing, she had to deal with Littlefinger's perverted ass, a jealous ass auntie who couldn't even see what the hell was really going on. She can't find any of her family neither, and everybody just wants to use her because of her family name. So she has literally gotten no peace whatsoever, and any peace that she thought she had was through some manipulative bullshit.
with all the factors, she has had it the worst in the whole show up until this point. Definitely, she has got to see her father die personally. Uh, She was bullied and taunted by Joffrey. She had to be constantly reminded of her father death, she was shown her father's head displayed in a very disrespectful way. She doesn't know anything about where her family is. The last thing she heard about was Rob and her mom leading a military campaign, hopefully gonna take King's Landing type deal. And that gave her a little bit of hope. But no, they did. It's just very depressing. And for her at the age she's at and how she's mentally prepared for just the life of a lady, like I can only imagine what's going on in her head. And I know, like I said in the last season review, pressure makes diamonds, and I know she's gonna evolve from this. She's gonna take something from this. And she can only go up from here.
Arya, man. Like, what can I say? The character that is loved from day one all the way up till now. Not only has she still been catching bodies when she was with the Hound, in the end, this is what I really want to talk about. After Lady Brienne whooped the Hound's ass, she could have went with them and they teased them actually being together, which is something that I really would love to see. But since she's unfamiliar, obviously she didn't go with her. But in the end, she decided to actually take up that offer and finally go to Bravo, like you said before.
Or yeah, like she's seeing people dying. It's whatever to her. I mean, sure, she's a little phased or whatever, but it's whatever. And as you can see, she's turned into a monster. Honestly, mentally, if you see, I think it's very important to mention when Brienne beat the Hound, and she pretty much left the Hound to die, and that's pretty cold blooded. She chose not to because she wanted him to suffer, and that shows a lot about her character. She wanted him to die slowly. I mean, Arya's still my favorite character, and this is one of the reasons why. Like she's a savage, and for such a young girl to have that way of thinking and that heartless attitude, it's it's crazy, honestly. But I love Arya. Never will stop loving her.
Daenerys. One thing that I actually really liked about this season for her is she's finally understanding how tough it is to actually rule and shit. Obviously, the dragons are starting to get bigger, and you can't really control a dragon once it gets bigger. That's just impossible. But you have people who would demand their payment for the dragons destroying their land, or even people who wanted to be sold back into slavery, which she fought so hard to actually get rid of. But the biggest shocker though was when she found out Dog was actually a spy sent by King Robert, and obviously she felt betrayed. But with Mormont, his mind had changed at the time, but she obviously don't want to see that nigga again no time soon, and I could blame her. But for some reason, I feel like as hard as she tries and as good as her intentions are, something's gonna backfire on her to make people actually look at her in a different way.
The complaints about her dragons were going around killing their goats, eating their goats, destroying their property, just causing inconveniences for the farmers and the people. They brought Daenerys the bones of a baby. So it's different this time. The dragons are not only out of control, this really impacted Daenerys, as you can see, as she saw the bones. She's in a very tough spot. I mean, she's doing it. She's doing a thing. Like she's out here freeing slaves, liberating people, and now she's seeing the conflict of like, yo, what this is actually doing to the people. Some people want to go back to slavery because they just feel more comfortable or secure in that life, and like she's just having problems that she didn't expect that she would have. It's the constant fear of like her people losing trust in her. Because I mean, yo, your dragons are killing me and my people. Like I don't want to be under your rule. And Jorah Mormont, like you said,
Yep.
Jorah came as a spy initially. That's how he knew that the wine was spiked that one time and saved her life. But eventually, like you said, he changed and he wasn't about that life anymore. But it you know, still doesn't wipe away that it happened. If I found out that, you know, one of my best friends is, the only reason he became my best friend was because he was here initially to kill me or something. And then I found out that, oh yeah, we cool now. Like, I'm changed. I'm different. Like, I'm genuinely your friend. I wouldn't want to be around him anymore. I definitely can relate to that. I understand that. You know? So I'm not, but I do feel sorry for Mama because I like him and I know he genuinely wants what's best for her. So we'll see what happens with that.
We finally got the first glimpse of the Night King, and we already seen when they was taking them like infant. He turned one of those babies into one of them. So we know what kind of power that this man holds. So I don't know whether he plans to go after Castle Black, King's Landing, or wherever. But if he wherever he decides to go, I don't know if everybody else gonna be able to fuck with him for real.
Pretty much it confirms what was happening with the babies that Craster was giving off and put in the woods. It confirms what's happening. It confirms that they're not eating these babies, and it confirms that where the actual White Walkers are coming from, that they're coming from sacrifices and dead people. Still a very mysterious type of thing. Like the Night King, nobody really knows what's going on with the Night King right now, or what he can do, how powerful he is. Nobody knows what he wants, but I mean, you can pretty much tell that he doesn't have much to say, and he's probably just gonna, invade the land as a whole and not just attack a certain, like city or anything like that. He's probably just gonna go through ravaging the land. I wouldn't be surprised. When it comes to the Night King and these whites, they're pretty much invulnerable when it comes to, what it seems like regular weapons. And they're pretty much like a zombie type of force, like an army. But there seems to be a couple of them that are actually intelligent, which would be the Night King, also the one that my boy killed. I forget his name, Sam,
Samuel.
the one that Sam killed. And it's gonna be interesting to see how all this supernatural stuff plays out in the show and how it ties into everything else. You got King's Landing and everything, because pretty much everything is gonna come to some type of collision. So it's gonna be interesting to see how it plays out.
So as far as season 4 is concerned, I gotta give it a 9.5 because from every moment from Joffrey's death to them trying to find out who did it to the trial to the trial by combat to all these little concepts that surround each character that actually build them up and develop them. They are really up in their game season by season for that. What would you give it?
Just like the last season, it's a 10. Now I do think the last season was better because it had more of a shock at the end, but that's not always, why like what makes a show, I mean, a season a 10 out of 10 for me. I feel like it was just well written. Like I feel like there's not much they could have done better in the season. Like they consistently juggle all of these characters and they keep you interested in these characters and they give you reasons and they really bring you along in the journey in these characters' lives and show you the character development in real time and we get to see um, how these characters grow and we get to pick our favorites and it's just perfect and we get to see how it unfolds and we also get to pray that our favorite character nobody wanted to see Robb Stark die or Ned honestly but all you can do is you watch the show is pray that your favorite doesn't die pretty much.
We'll definitely be back with season 5. We loving this show. Hope y'all stick with us
Also,
till the end.
Jamie, bro, you weird, bro. Jamie, you weird for that.
Yeah, yeah, you gotta lose
Okay,
points for
enough
that,
with
big
that.
dog. But let us know what y'all think. Comment down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And always remember, peace and love.